Hello and welcome to the AIM webinar series. My name is Mike Allen and I serve AIM Inc. as their member engagement manager. AIM is the trusted worldwide industry association for the automatic identification industry. For nearly half a century, AIM has provided unbiased information, educational resources, and standards to providers and users of these technologies. AIM membership provides access to an insider's perspective on trends and opportunities, along with a voice in shaping the growth and future of the industry. AIM member benefits include education, advocacy, and community, as well as a role in creating industry standards through collaboration. AIM is an investment in your future. Before the presentation starts, I would like to direct your attention to your monitor to review a few housekeeping items. First, you will notice that you are muted throughout the presentation. Please do not use the raise hand option during this webinar presentation. If you have any questions during the webinar, please click the chat icon on the top right of your screen. After this, you'll see a chat dialog box at the bottom right of your screen. Make sure in the Send To box you select AIM Inc., the host, and then in the box below type your question. We will try to answer as many questions as we can after the presentation. Today's presenter is David Allais, the chairman of PathGuide Technologies. David will be presenting Jensen Distribution enters a new phase in warehouse management software. AIM would like to thank PathGuide Technologies for their support of today's event. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming David.
Okay, hi guys out there. I don't know how many of you there are or whether there's anybody, but I will proceed on the basis that there's at least one of you. PathGuide provides to primarily industrial distributors, but also regional retailers, a warehouse management system that tracks all of the inventory transactions in a warehouse while keeping track of all of the labor that goes into the processes. So, okay, here we have a slide about Jensen Distribution. They are one of our large customers located in Spokane, Washington. They are hardware wholesalers, so they sell to the large hardware retailers, particularly in the western United States. Pretty big warehouse, almost 600,000 square feet. Back in 2009, they had 65,000 line items, which is a goodly number when you think about it. And they had 120, worker bees in the warehouse on basically two shifts, a night shift and a day shift. When Jensen started looking for, next slide please. When Jensen started looking for a new WMS, first of all, they wanted to increase shipping accuracy. Retailers get annoyed when they get material that is not what they ordered and they don't think they can sell. They got to send it back. Very bad. Click. They also want to increase productivity. Briefly, a definition of productivity is a measure of how much work you get out of your labor. If your productivity goes up and your sales stay the same, you can do the same work with fewer people. If your productivity goes up, you can also grow the business with the same number of people, which is essentially what Jensen did. They didn't have to lay anybody off, but they grew the business year by year, and we're able to keep the same staff. Click. They had a system, a paper-type system. Well, it was really a login as a group. I'm starting my shift. I'm working in this area. Fill out the form. Now I'm going to do something else. So they were able to track groups of people, but they wanted to be able to track individuals and see whether, is Mary doing more work than Joe or Sam or Harry, and we might want to do something special for Mary and do some counseling for Joe and Sam and Harry. Click. They also wanted to automatically print shipping documents. They had a big thrash in the shipping office late every afternoon trying to prepare documents, particularly for export sales, where they have things like, international invoices all the stuff, the customs papers that you do for shipping documents, and even domestically, bills of lading for the carriers, all these things have to be printed. Click. And finally, they wanted to reduce the reliance on tribal knowledge. Every organization that does anything, they have the formal, written things. Here's the procedures we follow, et cetera, which pretty much nobody ever reads unless they have to. And then you have tribal knowledge that says, well, when we do this, here's what we do about it. We do this for that, and that for that, and that for the other. And you hope that the people will train the new people properly, and you hope that they don't, forget how to do that. So, again, a system can knit everything together so that there's still tribal knowledge, but it's a much smaller ingredient in the operations. Next slide. Let me start with a system overview. It begins with the warehouse management software, which we, PathGuide, provide. We've been doing that since the very early 1990s. We've rewritten the software. This is about the third time around. Absolutely contemporary language, et cetera, and it tracks everything from the receiving of material to the put away on the shelf to the replenishment of forward pick locations to the order picking, packing, and finally shipping of the material, along with cycle counting things on the shelf to be sure you maintain accuracy. The hardware side is handheld computers. In today's world, we would get those either from Honeywell or Zebra or possibly one of the other suppliers, but usually one of those two. And then we have, in Jensen's case, voice headsets. These happen to be from Vocalect, and label printers, which rounds out the barcode hardware stuff. Click. Okay, here's one of the worker bees getting ready to go to work. He has in his right hand the handheld computer that has a display, a keyboard, an internal computer, RF communication via Wi-Fi to the central database, and he's wearing a headset for the voice prompts and responses. Click. Voice provides the ability to pick up cases of material with both hands, to pick up individual objects with both hands. You're not encumbered by having to cling to the handheld computer, which you usually would sit on the cart. Okay, and the barcode scanning is used as an enforcement of accuracy in a variety of special situations. Click. Okay, I talked about two shifts. Their first shift starts, as I recall, at about 2 o'clock in the morning. In the summer in Spokane, that's nice because it hasn't gotten hot yet. Otherwise, you got to get up really early. Basically, it's in the dark of the night. Click. Now, in preparation for replenishment, the warehouse system will pre-print labels out of a thermal transfer printer, and these labels are going to be applied to individual cases of material that are going to be used to replenish the forward pick locations. Click. Replenishment itself is voice directed. The voice will tell the replenishment person what bin to go to and ask him or her to confirm the check characters, and they affix a label on the case, and that just goes, maybe there's several labels on several cases, as the case may be, and then they direct them to the next bin location. Click. The first task is to load cases of material on, they call it a train. It's a little electric tug that pulls carts, and so they load those cases on one of the carts, and click. They pull the train along to the zone, which is simply an area in the warehouse where they're going to put away the material. Click. And at put away, they scan the label on the case, and then their voice headset will direct them to put away the labeled item. Click. So that's what I just told you. All right, next slide. Okay, finally we get down to the core activity in the warehouse. Typically, the order picking is the largest component of labor you have in the warehouse, because for every receipt and put away and replenishment, you typically have multiple picks. The voice is going to direct the picking person and ask them to confirm check characters. If you look at the little picture, and I know it's very hard to see, but you'll notice that up above the girl's hand, there are labels on the pallet rack, and those are labeling individual bin locations. In the lower left corner of each label is a 2-digit check combination, and so she will be asked to confirm the check characters. Maybe it's 97, maybe it's 32, and if she says the wrong check character, the system knows she's gone to the wrong bin. And that's, just the only accuracy here at voice picking is that you confirm the check characters so the system knows you're going to be picking material out of the right bin location. Next slide. Okay, I just mentioned that voice directed, confirm the check character, click. Now, there are exceptions where they want to have reinforcing of accuracy. For example, if it's the first pick after the replenishment process, they want to be absolutely sure that the replenishment person put the right item in the bin, because if the wrong item's in the bin, the whole system blows up. So they want to be sure that the item's in the bin. So they're going to scan the UPC barcode on the item to assure that that's the right item. Alternatively, it might be a new operator that might be unsure about whether the label is above or below the bin, whatever. They might get confused and try to pick out of the wrong bin. Or if the operator has a history of errors, they're going to require that he or she scans the item for a while to be darn sure they've got the right item. And once in a while, they get a very finicky customer that says, the next time you ship me a wrong item, that's the last order you'll get. And here they want the operator to always scan the items. Next slide. Okay, when a carton of material has been picked complete, the system will say, okay, you're completed there, and a label will be printed that looks pretty much like this sample label that we have in front of us. It has the destination, the customer, it has various information on it. For example, the shipping zip code, the purchase order number, etc. And finally, down at the bottom, it has a GS1 logistic label, which you can see the parenthesis 00 out in front says this is a logistic label. And what that means is that every label on every carton will have a unique number, and the customer will receive an EDI message that tells the customer exactly what the contents of that carton is. So it links the carton of material to the contents. Those that barcode at the bottom is also used on Jensen's conveyor system to scan that item and divert it to the correct shipping lane. Next slide. Yeah, the labeled cartons, they put on the conveyor takes it out to shipping, it runs down a cross conveyor, and is automatically diverted to the shipping lane. And, you know, then it's basically ready to ship. In shipping, although I don't have a slide for this, what they do is they will stack the inbound cartons on a pallet, always with the barcode facing outward. And when the pallet is full, the job is to assign a master load label to the pallet and then scan all of the individual carton barcodes that belong to that pallet. And if they have a carton on the wrong pallet, the system will tell them in no short order that they're trying to ship this to the wrong place. So that's the final link in accuracy in the process. Next slide. Okay, so we talked about Jensen's original objectives. First of all, they wanted to reduce shipping errors. Before the WMS, about 1% of the items going out were in error. 99% accurate sounds good, but that makes a lot of errors. After the WMS, it was down to 0.05%, or if you will, approximately one error in, let's see, what is that? If it was 0.5%, it'd be 1 in 200. So it's like one error in 2,000 packages. So that's pretty good. Okay, productivity. They used to be able to pick 175 lines per man day, and they are now up to 227. So the productivity went up. They used to track the worker bees by group. Now they can track them and see individually how fast they're working, et cetera, et cetera. That's very useful for training and motivation. They have a gain sharing program for people that exceed standards, all very good for productivity. Shipping documents are automatically printed, and they rely a lot less now on tribal knowledge. Next slide. Okay, we're down to questions, which I will be delighted to answer.
Okay, great. Thank you, David, for the great presentation. Very insightful. And you still have time to submit a question to me. Just go to the chat icon at the top right of your screen, type that question over to me, and I will ask David. But we do have a few questions already ready. David, are you ready to answer those?
Sure.
Okay, great. First question we have is, how does voice picking assure accuracy?
Okay, I'm sure I went by that kind of fast in the process, but first of all, Jensen adheres to a very, very good rule in warehousing. Every bin location has only one item number in that bin. So if you go to the right bin, you're pretty well assured that you're going to be able to pick the correct item. Now, in addition to the bin number, which is barcoded, there is this check, we call it a check character, but it's really a pair of digits, 11, 27, 99, 75, whatever. So it's a two-digit number on every bin, which is really randomly assigned by the system and printed on a label for the bin. So the system will direct the picker to the bin and ask him or her to say the check character. So when he says 24, the system verifies, is that the correct check combination for that bin? If not, it's no, we're sorry, go to this bin, you're at the wrong bin, etc. If it's correct, it says fine, pick 7. And so they take 7 little widgets out of the bin and put in the carton that's going to be shipped, and it directs them on to the next bin. Okay.
Okay, great. Another question that we received is what prevents a carton being shipped to the wrong customer?
Okay. Again, I went over that pretty quickly, but after the conveyor has diverted those boxes down the chute, and they get stacked up on a pallet for the customer, the pallet is given what we call a master load label. It's just a unique license plate for the pallet that is linked to the customer. And so then there's a process that we call staging, where they scan that master load, and then they scan every one of those UCC 128 labels on the bottom of a barcode on the bottom of the label. Scan this one, scan this one, scan that one. If they scan one that doesn't belong to that customer, the system will beep, give them an error message. They know they've got a problem. That box belongs to a different customer.
Okay, great. And another question we received, how were you able to progress from tracking associates on a group level to an individual level?
Oh, good question. Okay, so every individual is going to, first thing they're going to do before they start working on whatever they're going to work on is they have to sign onto the handheld computer that is going to be directing the work. And every individual has an employee number, and then they typically have a password. So it's, you can call it a PIN, whatever, just like you'd have on your debit card. So they get, the employee number, they key that in or scan it, and then they key in their PIN. And so then it knows that this is Mary Ann, and her employee number is this, and she is signing into the system. Subsequently, everything she does through either voice or the barcode scanning is going to be tracked, by date and time stamp. She did this, then she did this, then she did this. So there's a complete audit trail of what she did all day, and that could be boiled down into productivity numbers, and is she meeting standard, above standard, below standard, excellent, and so forth.
Okay, great. Another question we received is, you said this warehouse management software used by Jensen through you guys at PathGuide is new. Are there further updates that can be done to that warehouse management software?
Yes, certainly. I shouldn't have implied that it was new because its roots have been growing since 1992. But it's a pretty hardy warehouse management system. It's not what we call a Tier 1, but I'm sure it's the very best of the Tier 2 systems. And yes, we have additional modules that we have developed. For example, in 2009, when Jensen started using the system, we did not have a module to manage inbound truckloads of freight coming in to be received. So the system was not helping them to schedule the arrival of incoming trucks. We now have that module, and Jensen was one of the beta sites to initially have that module installed and debugged and so forth.
Okay, great. And the last question I have, which is a great last question, how would an organization get in touch with PathGuide for similar help like it with Jensen?
Please show them the next slide.
I was going to say.
Yeah, okay, my email is pretty simple. It's David A. At PathGuide, and PathGuide gets spelled out on the slide there, .com. And you also have PathGuide's phone number there. Somebody will answer. If I'm not around, or you want to I want to talk to sales, and we'll get you a very, very thoughtful person that will understand your needs and what you want, and maybe even schedule a visit.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, David, for your insight and knowledge and for providing us with this presentation today.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Thank you to our audience for their active participation. I hope that you all found this information to be valuable. We would appreciate your feedback, so please take the time to complete a brief session evaluation, which will be sent out to you all shortly. This information will be used to develop future presentations in our AIM webinar series and future AIM Inc. events. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everyone.